Alrighty guys, welcome back to the video series from Greensborough Set Champs. We have our final standings after round 6 with 42 players here, and we can see here from 1 to 8 we'll be going through to the top 8 and playing for that Scar mat. Now we see here the cutoff was 26 points, so 2 wins and 4 ties. You see me there at third place. We've got our 2 French players at first and second, and then a few others we have seen on the stream throughout the day. So again, if you didn't catch the stream live, I'll be doing these all throughout the Set Champs month. So next weekend will be the last weekend. So be sure to tune in over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Darcy to catch all the action live. And then, of course, I'll be posting the videos with some commentary afterwards as well. So let's get stuck into our top 8 match. I'm sure it will be a ripper. So here we go, getting into our top 8 match. We have Darren on the left playing Steel Songs against Sully again on the right, who we saw in our last round. If you didn't see that, go check it out. It was a great match to see and a little bit of a preview into his deck before the top 8. So we see our players just mulliganing here. I believe it is top seed to side, so I think Darren may be going first. And you see, we have finally put the lore trackers on the screen for you guys to see. Apologies about that for all the other videos, but hopefully going forward I will remember to have this ready for all of the live streams so you're able to see the scores for our players live and up to date. Now, an interesting matchup here. Both players are playing the steel color, just a few different partners with it, however. Both players obviously going to be playing the peach to shut down their opponent's steel songs and actions as well. So it will be interesting to see the battle of the peach wars and who comes out on top. Darren will be playing things like that Lilo, so Sully might have a bit of a tough time keeping control of the board with those Lilos coming back every turn. But he does have that good draw power in the Genie and Rabbit. Darren, on the other hand, having access to that whole new world will give both players 7 new cards. So definitely a double-edged sword there. Alrighty, so players just finishing setting up here, and for our top 8 it'll be 70 minutes best of 3, so plenty of time to finish up the games and get a winner. So it looks like Darren will be going first here. Rapunzel getting inked, quite a good card, but no 1-drop for Darren, so Sully definitely in a better start here already, getting that Chernobog's followers down. Darren definitely would have liked to see something like a Cinderella to potentially sing a song onto this Chernobog's next turn, but fortunately for Sully, wasn't able to find it. Now turn 2 here for Sully would be quite good seeing something like that Smee come down if he has it, but might just have to play the snake here potentially. And that does look like what's going to happen. So we won't be able to play any Storm Rage on to banish it now, which is good for Sully, but Darren can just try and develop his board a little bit more. Just going to quest for 2. Snake will be able to challenge into it and banish it. And Sully got in quite a few genies here, so there's going to be quite good cards into this matchup, as Darren doesn't really have many great songs for getting rid of them. Those Along Came Zeus are quite good trades, but something like a Storm or a Strength Rage on, not necessarily, and he does only play 3 of them, so it's going to be a bit difficult for him to reliably answer those genies when they come down. You see the turn 3 aerial come down. We'll be able to look at the top 4 and grab a song. Probably looking for some removal cards like that Strength of a Raging Fire, or maybe something like that Whole New World if he's struggling on card draw. Definitely a much better card when you go first, since you will have less cards than your opponent most of the time. Turn 3 for Sully here, maybe something like that. Lawrence, definitely going to be a good character at challenging down. Now, interestingly enough, both colours have access to a heal in a way for these Lawrences, so Sully can bounce them back to his hand with the Madam Mims, and Darren can play his Rapunzel to heal them up, so both characters can have access to that 4-4 stat line a lot of the time. It'll be interesting to see what Sully goes for here. I think the Lawrence is a good play as long as you try and trade into the Smee, which he does decide to do. I think leaving that Smee around not only lets it quest for 2 more, but also adds another character to that strength power. And we did see Darren grab that last turn off the aerial, so Sully knows he has it. So you like to see him playing around it here, and I imagine next turn we're just going to be going for a Genie. And here deciding what to ink. Just go with that Pete. Oh, quite a good card in this matchup, so interesting to see him play it down. And we see another 2 characters here. So Sully correctly trading out that Smee meant that Ariel couldn't sing the Strength of a Raging Fire to banish the Lawrence. Darren just thinking about what to play here. If he has another song like A Whole New World, I think that would be quite a good one to sing here. Sully does have quite a lot of cards in hand, so it wouldn't be giving him that much card advantage. So we're just going to see an ink here and a Genie come down, I would imagine. Will be interesting to see if he quests with the Lawrence here. Obviously, if he quests, then the Lilo can challenge, and then the Smee can take out the Lawrence without getting any damage on it. I'm just going to see a Pete and a Chernobog, so can always play the Genie next turn now that Darren can't play A Whole New World because of the Pete, so just wanting to hold on to those and get a bit more of a board presence since Darren has gone a bit wider here. Going to see another aerial, grab a song. Won't be able to use it this turn. We're just prepping for the turns to come. And then I imagine Darren will just quest for 4 and leave the aerial readied. This Lilo always able to come back, or maybe even just take the trade into the Lawrence. That Lilo being banished, not a huge deal as Darren can bring it back any turn he likes from the discard pile. You do miss out on the 4 lore, but you do take out Sully's, not that Pete, the Lawrence will be going to the discard. We see his strength come down here, so interestingly, Sully could play the Genie, draw a card, and sing strength to take out one of the aerials. Which means Darren's singing ability would be limited. We do see the sing come down. Probably on one of the aerials, and then possibly even take out the Smee with the Chernobog here. Yeah, I like slowing Darren down. These Steel Song decks, once they get lots of board presence, can put a lot of pressure onto you. And not having something like a Be Prepared to clear the board could make it a bit difficult. But we did see last round, Sully did have the Grab Your Sword. Another Smee coming down here. Not going to be singing with the Strength of a Raging Fire, I would imagine, as it's not going to be doing too much damage with only 2 characters on the board. Yeah, so just going to ink it here for Darren. Now looking pretty good here for Sully at the moment. You definitely have to be feeling good going second and in this position. Having a couple of Genies on board, being able to quest pretty freely and draw more cards. Darren here just deciding whether to play something by the looks of it. We'll just sing the Whole New World, so probably didn't have too many good cards that he wanted to hold on to there. So unfortunately for Sully, losing those 2 Genies. Just getting into some more cards here. We do see the Gantu. Not as good in this matchup as the Steel cards do have a lot of ability to target them down, but we have already seen 2 Strength of a Raging Fire go. Yeah, so it looks like it was double whole New World, so only has 2 left and 1 Strength of a Raging Fire already in the inkwell. And maybe pairing that Gantu with something like a Peat could mean it would be quite protective for that 1 turn. I imagine something like a Peat challenging into the aerial. And a quest from the Lawrence. We could see something like a double Lawrence come down from Sully here. Just put that more board pressure on. And just a quest with the Genie. So yeah, we do see the Peat challenge and take out. And then just gonna have a Smee and a Lawrence, I would imagine here. So not deciding to ink. So getting quite a wide board here for Sully. That's sort of where we see the drawback from the whole New World. Darren saying to give Sully a lot more options going into his next turn. And yeah, we will just see the Lawrence being inked. And just so we can get that another 1 drop down, the Aladdin here. And just the quest for 2, go up to 5 and pass it over to Darren. Let's see what he can respond with here. I did see a few songs in his hand, but not many singers on the board. So not really the spot you want to be as the steel song player. Possibly has a Rapunzel in hand, which he can use to heal this Lawrence and get some extra card draw. That is what we see come down here. A very good play in the mirror match here. So Darren having a lot of cards in hand, probably not going to need a whole New World for a while now. Would like to get something like an Ursula Vanessa here, just to have that extra singing power on board. Not sure if Darren plays it, but if he does, that's probably something he'd want to be looking for, or even just a Cinderella. So you see the Queen and just a Queen and a Daisy, so just putting on that board pressure at the moment, forcing Sully to have that answer. Now it'll be interesting here to see if Sully does the same thing that Darren did to him, except instead of healing with Rapunzel, he bounces it back with a Madam Mim. Or maybe we'll just see a Lawrence trade. He does have that Aladdin, which can hit into the Lawrence and remove its strength. Or potentially even play the Crab to give Aladdin Challenger 3 to take out the Lawrence. We would have quite a few favourable trades there, and then questing for 2 up to 9. So I quite like that here for Sully. Is actually just going to take the Lawrence trade, so interesting here. And then the Genie trade, so going to be questing for 3. Which should be 3 on that Genie. There we go, just fixing that up. Might just be going for an Elsa potentially. Oh no, just the quest for 3. Elsa probably going to take out that Queen. So Sully just wanting to keep that Queen in check, as the shift is a very powerful effect where you can give a character -4 and another one +4. So definitely good for doing some of these tradings, especially with those Rapunzels that normally have quite a low strength, can give it +4, basically taking out anything on your opponent's side. So Sully realizing that Darren has quite a lot of cards in hand and probably won't be playing a whole New World anytime soon, just wanting to hold on to his cards to get the most out of them rather than inking them. He is already at 6, and that will be enough to play every card in his deck. Darren just having to hard cast Storm Rage on, probably not the best use of the ink unfortunately, but Does need to deal with this board of Sully's. I imagine the genie will get taken out here. That evasive text can be quite hard to deal with. Does just go for the Smee. Maybe just concerned with the strength of the Smee being able to take out some of his characters. Imagine it'll just be a quest here for Darren. As that Aladdin, I believe, is a 1-3. Or even could just sing something like a Zeus onto the genie, or even just the Elsa to take it out. Something else like a Storm Rage on here would be nice to take out the genie. Pair it with a 1-drop like a Cinderella. Just goes wide with a Pete and a Daisy, and does end up questing with the Daisy, so definitely would have liked to see the quest first, as I don't believe Darren drew many cards other than the Storm Rage on, so would have been good to have that information earlier. And we see Sally top deck the Zeus, not able to play it though due to that Pete games referee. And we'll see something like a crab come down here so he can take out the Daisy. That's exactly what we see from the Aladdin here. But this Rapunzel is going to be proving a little bit more difficult to take out here, but I would like to see this Calhoun come down. It does put a bit of pressure on Darren's board. This means he has to think twice about questing. Then definitely going to see the quest with the genie go up to 10. Yeah, I think Calhoun's definitely the play here for Sully. Means he can start keeping Darren's board a bit more clear and also gain some lore. And then we do have that 4-cost genie to sing Along Came Zeus next turn potentially as well to take out the Rapunzel. Now, nice for Sully here, whose only challengeable character is the Aladdin, which only has 1 strength, so Darren can't run in, damage his characters a great deal, and heal with Rapunzel. Would only be drawing 1 card, so not a bad spot for Sully here. Imagine we're going to be singing some songs from Darren though. Something like a Zeus onto Calhoun, or Storm Rage onto Genie is also a good play here. Remove that singer for Sully now. Darren just forgetting to play the aerial there before he looked at the top 3, so tapped his ink, didn't play a card, and then obviously Sully a bit confused about all these cards being drawn, but Ariel coming down to grab a song is going to be that Storm Rage on, so another card that Pete can sing here to take out the Aladdin. We can see how quickly this game can change when that Pete comes down. If Sully was able to find one of his own, he definitely could have had a much more stable board here. We do see the quest and the Madam Mim coming to hand here. Going to be quite a good one for Sully to deal with that Daisy Duck. Could see that come down and bounce something like that crab to give Calhoun Challenger to take out the Rapunzel. I'm just going to see this Aladdin get taken out here by the Pete. And then Cinderella Ballroom Sensation come down, get another singer on the board. Now Darren's not looking like he has too many cards left in hand here, so might be running out of some songs to sing, so maybe Sully coming in with this. Oh, does just play the strength to take out the crab. So unfortunately not going to have that challenger effect to be given to Calhoun this turn. So definitely sort of put a spanner in Sully's plan there. Might need something like a goat into Fox. Let's take out some of these characters, and then that Calhoun can deal with the Pete. Potentially gain a couple lore as well. So we'll go up to 14 and clear 2 more characters. Although potentially now that Darren's used a lot of his songs, Sully could actually play this Gantu and hope that it sticks. But would probably want to pair it with a couple more characters to bring into play as well. I'm not actually sure if Sully has any other cards to ink, but potentially this Goat and Fox coming down this turn will push Sully up to 14. It's just going to be the Genie. I think this Fox definitely needs to come down though to challenge this board of Darren's. It's getting a little bit too wide for my liking. And I think the only efficient way to remove the characters is the Daisy and the Pete, but I'd have to leave this Rapunzel here. But you would like to keep a 4-cost character in play in order to sing the Along Came Zeus next turn, but I don't think that'll be possible with Sully's hand at the moment. So I guess Sully just valuing the card draw more than the lore gain. She's running out of cards, so you can definitely see that. But with Darren playing a whole new world, you wonder whether he might need to play it next turn in order to keep drawing more cards. Missing a Storm here, I'd imagine. Now that Sully's board is clear, you can definitely feel a lot more comfortable singing a whole new world. Oh, but just has some more characters to bring onto the board, so definitely putting the pressure on Sully now, but does leave his hand empty. Sully might have to try and quickly deal with some of these, so possibly inking a card, playing the Zeus onto the Queen, and playing another character like that Goat. Yeah, I think the Zeus here might be the best play because it still gets you a character on board. Whereas if you play this Goat and Fox, you still only have one character in play. So potentially hard casting the Zeus into a Goat. Because this Fox will only take out a 1 questing character. Okay, so we do just see the Zeus come in. Anyway, but this Genie's probably not putting on a whole lot of pressure with its challenging. But Sully definitely going to need something like a Grab Your Sword here, so maybe just digging deep with the Genie's draw for that. Darren probably looking for something like a whole new world here just to refresh his hand. Get some more characters, something like a Pete to protect these Cinderellas from a Grab Your Sword. Just going to hard cast it here. Definitely like this as you don't have many cards, so your ink isn't going to be doing too much for you. And just going to be a quest for 6 up to 17, so Sully definitely going to have to deal with this board this turn. Otherwise he will lose the game. So we see a Crab and a Fox can deal with 2 characters. We see here just Darren going wide with some of these characters meant that Sully just didn't have enough to deal with it and was looking in such a good spot, but just wasn't able to keep the characters on board enough to challenge. Now this Fox will come down, and sure, you can take out another character, but having 3 characters left in play means that he can quest for 3 to go up to 20 and win the game here. So I think this is going to be a game 1 to Darren here. Definitely came down to the wire a bit, and Sully looked like he was in a commanding position, but just sort of slipped between his fingers there in the last second. And then Darren will just quest for 3 and go up to 20 to win the game here. So that will be game 1 to Darren. Sully going first in the second game. Let's see how he does. Alrighty, we're getting into game number 2 here. Sully going first in this one. Just looking at his opening hand, seeing what he is going to mulligan here. Definitely getting rid of some of those high cost unequals like the grab your sword, and looks like he's got a nice 1-drop, 2-drop here. So got a nice curve going in this game, and we see him actually hold on to the library here. Now we know Darren doesn't have too many high strength characters outside of the Smee and Lawrence. There's things like Rapunzel, Cinderella, Daisy. Can't really challenge this library, so could be a good option to have there just for some passive 4 gain. The Aladdin as well, quite a nice 1-drop when you pair it with that crab, can challenge for 4-3 and take out things like that Lawrence for a favourable trade. Let's see what he's drawn off his mulligan of 4 here. And Sully repping that beautiful playmat there. Not sure if you caught the last video, but that thumbnail, shout out to that beautiful work of art. Doing his namesake very proud. I'm sure he's very excited for when we get our Pixar cards coming next year. I can't wait to see a full binder of Sully in all his glory. Alrighty, let's get into game number 2 here. Sully will be starting us off. Probably going to look at playing that Chernobyls. Definitely a better 1-drop than the Aladdin, as it can draw cards as well. Darren, let's see if he has a 1-drop this time. He does. He has that Queen, so could get an aggressive shift turn 2 here, but Sully not really having any option to deal with it, but could get this Smee this turn, so when that Queen does exert, can challenge to take it out. It will be interesting to see if this Chernobyl gets banished here. I don't think it will. I think holding on to the card draw here is okay, especially if that Queen trades into you. You're not too upset, as that does remove the shift line, but I guess the concern is if Darren shifts and challenges into the Chernobyl, because that Queen is a 4-3, so it would stay on the board. Looks like he's debating the trade here. So Darren's just going to take the trade here. Unfortunately, that Chernobog's going means he won't be able to move into the library and banish to draw 2 cards, but I think this library next turn still is a good play for Sully, as Darren now has no characters on the board for the time being. Darren just looking for this 2-drop here. Something like a Calhoun could be quite good as well. Otherwise, that Mr. Smee, a bumbling mate, crossing for 2 as well is always nice stats to have on a 2-drop, especially when it's paired with that 3 strength and 3 willpower. Looks like we just see a couple of 1-drops here, so interestingly that we didn't see the Cinderella come down last turn. Maybe Darren just top decked it, but being able to sing, and did have a number of 1-drops, so could have done Strength of a Raging Fire to take out this Smee. Now we see the Pete, so no singing for Cinderella. It's just going to be a 1-2 this turn, so I imagine this Queen might trade into the Smee and then just look for something like an Aerial. So library, whilst it is a 3-cost location, you sometimes want to play it on turn 4 so you can pay the cost and move a character straight in and challenge it to banish it so you can draw a card. It looks like Sully might be struggling with some inkables in his hand here, so I might just have to ink the library next turn to play that Genie. We'll still get some draw power off it, so we'll see what he top decks. Might top deck something else that he doesn't mind inking. So now we see the inking of the Queen here. So Darren turn 3 got this Lawrence down, so Something we could see that happened last game as well is if Sully were to exert this Pete could challenge in and play something like a Rapunzel to draw even more cards. So would like to see Sully be a bit hesitant to exert this Pete and just play something like that Genie. And next turn can sing that Zeus if he sees fit. We're just going to see the pass here. Yep. So a very experienced player, so definitely knows the lines here, not wanting to exert that Pete for Darren to challenge into. And we'll just see the aerial come down here. Maybe looking for something like a whole new world or some more songs to sing, like a Zeus to take out this Genie, as that evasive is very difficult to deal with for Darren's deck outside of his songs. Well, it's Gross Criminal Mastermind. Not going to be doing too much in this matchup. Just going to ink the World's Greatest Criminal Mastermind, as won't be doing too much in the matchup here, and just going to be a pass over to Sully. So can definitely just quest with this Genie here, but might even sing Along Came Zeus to take out the aerial. Just remove that singer option. Or maybe even just take out the Lawrence and play the library so you can start gaining some of that lore every turn. I think that's probably not a bad play here for Sully. Obviously the concern is that Ariel can sing Along Came Zeus, which can also target locations. Deal a big chunk of damage. So I think the quest here signifies that the Along Came Zeus will be targeting the Lawrence here. Or it's just going to bounce it with the snake here. We could see an ink and a peach again, so that Darren can't play songs for another turn. I think the Smee here is a good ink choice. Want to keep that library around. Yeah, and then we do see the Zeus come in eventually. So yeah, interesting play here. So he does now have access to that Pete again. But didn't play it back down, so Darren is going to be able to sing songs that he likes, but not wanting to sing a whole new world here, as Sully's hand is only one card and he knows what it is, being that Pete. So definitely looking for something like a Zeus to take out that Genie. Now unfortunately didn't have the ink to move the Genie in, which is why I think I would have liked to see the snake not come down and just move the characters into the library, and then you are getting that draw if they decide to be banished. But Darren here probably won't have enough ink or characters to remove the library here. And there we see the Rapunzel go into the inkwell, so that play from a few turns ago for Sully, not questing with the Pete, definitely pays off, as we did see he has the Rapunzel in hand. So imagine we're just going to see a Pete come down, move a couple characters in, and quest with the snake and the Genie here, going up to 8. Definitely pushing ahead here. Darren still not on the board in terms of lore. Just going to see Lawrence come down and not going to be able to do much else, unfortunately, since he can't play those songs in his hand. And I believe there's another Peach in hand, so going to be able to stop Darren's songs yet again. Just going to quest first, return the Pete to the hand so he can play it again next turn and continue this Pete train. Looks like he's up to 13 now, so he's currently up to 19 on the board next turn if Darren doesn't remove anything. Darren does have enough strength on board to take out this library though, but definitely will cost him, as the Lawrence and 2 areas will have to challenge in order to remove it, but might just have to be done this turn, unfortunately. Just goes for the 1 challenge, so Sally going to be going up to 19 here, and I think this just might be too much for Darren to catch up, especially when we see another Pete come down. So the Pete will stop all of actions of Darren's and probably won't be able to move the newly played Pete. And I imagine a quest here for 5 up to 19 will just spell the game for Darren. So I think I would have liked to see Darren challenge into that library just to take it out, since he did know that Sully had that Pete in hand, and I don't think there's any way for him to win this turn, so looks like that'll be game number 2 going to Sully and taking us to a game 3. So Darren will be going first again, and definitely looking for that 1-drop Cinderella. Let's see how Darren pulls up going first in this game 3. Alrighty, we're getting into our third and final game here of our top 8 match with Darren against Sully. Darren will be going first in this one. Definitely going to be looking for that 1-drop. Ideally the Cinderella, just to slow down Sully's board a little bit. There we go, I've just moved the Lorcana so we can see it a bit easier now, and our players will be going ahead with their mulligans. So he's got a nice curve here, but wondering whether he'll keep that Zeus. I imagine he might get rid of it, as only really targeting down that Lawrence, and doesn't have any singers for it, so not going to be adding too much value to the hand here, but other than that, it has a nice 1-2-3 curve here. I'd like to see Sully try and mulligan for that Calhoun, as that's a very powerful card in this matchup, as Storm Ray John's not going to be doing too much against it. So it's just going to be the 2 here. Keeping that along came Zeus. Interesting choice here. Noticing both players have 1 on the play. Alrighty, we're just about to get into the final game here. I haven't quite gotten a look at Darren's hand yet, but yes, I think Sully probably should have gotten rid of this along came Zeus, as it's not really adding too much value to the hand at the moment here. If you do have to hard cast it on turn 4, that's probably not ideal, but might just have to be what he does to remove a potential Lawrence from Darren. Alrighty, Darren thinking a little bit here, so might not have that 1-drop. But we do see the Daisy Duck come down. Nice turn 1 play. And then we see another top deck of along came Zeus. So 2 in the hand now for Sully. Definitely why I would have liked to see that first one mulliganed. Now we're going to see this Daisy press for 2. So going to give Sully a few more cards hopefully, but dealing with this Daisy might prove a bit difficult, given this trainer box only has 1 willpower. So, but that crab could be a nice turn 3 play to give that trainer box enough strength to take out the Daisy. And as you can see, a turn 2 Smee. Then we see another crab for Sully. So probably just going to ink 1 of them and play the Smee this turn. So yeah, here we are, just thinking about what to ink. It's going to be a crab by the looks of it, and the only 2-drop in the head being the Smee will probably come down. I imagine he just might keep this trainer box ready just to make sure it doesn't get taken out. Does just quest with it actually, so maybe saying to Darren that he won't challenge him with the Daisy. And even if he does challenge him, that is 2 lore he's missing out on. Now Darren, looking for his 3-drop here, might be something like a aerial. And knowing that Sully has that crab in hand, I probably would take the initiative here with the daisy. Just to take it out. Maybe you just want to force Sully to use the crab here and banish it yourself, because then you do get the 2 lore from the questing as well. But you do risk giving Sully more cards in his hand. Imagine Smee will just quest. Question is, does Daisy challenge? I think that's what Darren is wondering as well here. I do quite like the challenge here. Yeah, and then we do see the challenge come in. Interesting play here. I'd love to hear your thoughts at home, what you think the correct play was. Leave it in the comments below on whether you think Darren should have quested or challenged into the Turner box. Now I imagine we'll see something like the Lawrence and the Smee trade into the Daisy. Or potentially the Pete coming down, just to prevent that singing from Ariel. Now this means the Smee will be safe from songs this turn as well, which I quite like. So now if Darren wants to remove the Smee, he will have to challenge into it. So this Pete definitely coming in very handy here in this matchup for Sully. But with those 2 Along Came Zeus in hand, might run into some inking issues soon. Darren just going to go for the quest. Can't sing any songs, but might just play another singer down in that Ursula. And then another singer, so if Sully can find another Pete here, could definitely be a good play here, but it'll be interesting to see what he does about this Smee. Does he just trade his own Smee in, play the Zeus onto the Ariel so that Darren can't sing A Whole New World? I think that might be one of his better plays this turn. Unfortunately for Sully going second in this game, it's going to be a bit of an uphill battle. Still plenty of time left on the clock, so we will definitely see a result here in our top 8. And I imagine we'll see the trade in as well. Yeah. And then just the quest for 1. So yeah, I quite like to see removing of the Ariel here. It means that Darren can't sing A Whole New World, draw into more songs, and then sing them with his other 2 singers. And Sully, having 2 of those in hand is going to make it a bit difficult to have other options going forward. So we'll see a Zeus of his own from Darren. I'm just going to have to hard cast A Whole New World. So fortunately, Sully taking out the Ariel means that Darren will have to use all of his ink to draw. Didn't have anything else in hand. Could have just played the Gaston instead, but Sully did have another Zeus, which would have dealt with that next turn as well. So looking okay here for Sully, especially since he does have that Elsa in hand, which can take out the Cinderella, but Darren will still have that 4-singer Ursula on the board. I think Sully will have a bit of a read that Darren isn't playing Grab Your Sword now, so might be inclined to go wide here. Gantu is not going to be too useful just yet, since Darren does have 7 new cards and probably has quite a few songs there. Imagine something like this. Elsa, or just go wide with the 1-drops. You're going to have to ink the Gantu, I would think, here. Gantu's unfortunately not really good into this matchup since cards like Zeus and Strength can take it out. It's just going to ink the Elsa here, so I don't really like this from Sully because Darren having 7 cards can go quite wide and he doesn't have the grab your sword in hand at the moment. And also doesn't have much other card draw. He does have these 1-drops in play, but might be limited in his card draw going into the next few turns. So you can see the Strength can be sung to take out the snake here. He's just going to storm the Churner box instead. So still has access to that Strength with the Ursula here to take out the snake. Now we just see the power of Steel Song. Once you let them keep some singers on board, they can just continue to wipe out your board every single turn. And I think unless Sully has some sort of board clear here, is looking like it's going to be really tough to close out this game here. Imagine Elsa will have to come down this turn to remove this piglet. Unfortunately, only at 5 inks, so can't play the Elsa and the Calhoun. So I think this piglet definitely needs to go. Being able to quest for 3 once Darren's already at 7 is going to prove difficult to slow down if Sully lets it quest you. So Darren will be going to 14 next turn if this piglet is allowed to quest. So just deciding here, I think it's going to have to be the Elsa, otherwise he will probably just lose. We do see him go for the Elsa here. Take out the Piglet Pooh Pirate Captain. He's going to ink the goat. Still holding onto this Gantu. I think if we had another Elsa in hand, that would be a bit more valuable than the Gantu here. Darren's still quite a few cards in hand, so probably just going to want to go wide and play something like a Pete to stop that grab your sword if Sully were to find it. Maybe even take out this Elsa with another song. Darren's just going to want to clear the board here. I don't know if giving Sully more cards is what you want to be doing here. Would definitely just rather be questing. That is a lot of characters coming onto the board here for Darren and singing a whole new world. So, in which case, I think that was his last card in hand. So actually taking out the Diablo there, quite good, being able to give Sully that extra card, but not being able to use it as he did have to discard it from the whole new world. Now probably just going to sing a song to take out the Elsa and quest going up to 8. Definitely a scary looking board for Sully, especially now that he can't play any actions. Does have that big Tinkerbell, but letting Darren quest for 7 here, going up to 15. Probably not where you want to be, but this Tinkerbell not going to be able to be paired with a 1-drop, so just having that Tinkerbell on board might not be enough to slow Darren down from winning here. I think Sully's got his back up against the wall here. Interesting choices here for Sully. Might just have to go for some wide board here with a couple of Smees and a Lawrence. Can ink a card, and then we'll be able to play all 3 of those characters. But if Darren's able to get a few more down next turn, Sully might not have enough characters on board to clear especially if Darren manages to sing some songs to take out the Smees as well. Maybe even this fox coming down to take out the aerial. It's just going to be the Lawrence. I think the fox here is basically the same as the Lawrence because you will take out a character with the rush, but you will lose a character on board. So it's sort of a one-for-one trade here. So just going to see the storm come down. Darren probably looking for some more songs just to take out this board. Maybe quest 11, 12, 13 and 14. And a couple more characters I think will spell game over for Sully here. Ooh, especially with that Pete. If you can get 3 more questing power on the board. Now Darren will have to remove every single exerted character and one of the ready characters, so I think that's going to be too much for him to do, especially when he cannot play any action cards. So I believe with a board this wide, which I think is probably the biggest board I've ever seen in DisneyLorcana, that Sully is not going to be able to bring it back here in game number 3 and will lose going second. So definitely a big task for him to win in this game. But Darren coming out on top here. Some very good plays from both players here. But Darren will be going into our top 4. So both players have already won their Scar promo, but we'll be looking to hunt down that Scar mat for Darren here. So thank you for watching, and please like, subscribe, and leave any comments about the videos. I will be coming back at you with a top 4 video, and be sure to tune in on Twitch to watch the live streams coming up this weekend.